Very warm welcome to the Sir David Prosser Award, which is presented at the Racing Welfare Annual Epsom Owners and Trainers Award in November. But unfortunately, because of COVID last year, we were unable to have the award ceremony. The award was first presented back in 2000 and was named in honour of Sir David Prosser since 2014. Sir David was the CEO of Legal & General and a lifelong supporter of the Epsom trainer community. Sadly, Sir David passed away last year, but we're delighted to announce that the award will continue in his name. And I'm pleased to announce that the joint winners of the award for 2020 are Simon Dow and Michael Attwater, who both amassed 18 winners last year. During what was a very, very challenging year. Delighted to be joined by both of them today. Morning to you, gentlemen.
Morning, guys. How are we doing?
I'm not too bad. Simon, very well done. 18 winners last year. I bet a really, really challenging year for you.
I think these awards are always, we might be the lucky recipients, but they always reflect a much wider picture, of course. Both Michael and I, I'm sure we recognise the guys that work for us and get up and do all the hard graft every single day, and amazingly, what a year we've been supported in with our client base and customers who are all our mates as well. It's just been an amazing year for everybody involved.
And Michael, when we went through that period last year between mid-March and the beginning of June, when there was no racing at all, how did you cope? What happened at the stable, or was it sort of business as usual?
Yeah, it was very tricky because we went in, when we went into lockdown, no one was really sure how long it was going to be for, and I think everyone wanted to be prepared when we came out the other side to hit the ground running. I mean, we'd had a good start to the year in our yard, and it was really sort of, it was hard when we had to stop, and just not knowing when you're going to start again made it really tricky. And we wanted to get the horses freshened up, but we didn't want to let the horses drop off with their fitness too much. So we wanted to be ready as soon as we got the green light. We wanted to make sure we were ready to go. And to be fair, it worked very well. We managed to keep the horses fresh and well and happy, and all the staff stayed healthy. So as soon as the lockdown lifted, we were off and running straight away.
I guess that was the problem, because we know now that racing came back in June, but you're going through the whole of April and May, and you don't know whether you're going to be starting racing in 2 weeks, 2 months, whenever.
Yeah, we were given dates that everyone was working towards, and we was always sort of thinking, well, it's going to be probably a couple of weeks beyond them dates once racing actually gets some meetings on. But you could never be sure, and it was hard to have horses at peak fitness, because you just can't maintain a horse's fitness like that, without getting them on the racetrack. So we were fortunate. I think for the first couple of weeks, a few of the horses might have just been a gallop short, but after that, we were ready to go. So yeah, we were lucky. We got going again quite quickly. We were lucky, and like Simon said, everyone worked really hard and everyone worked together, and it was okay,
And Simon, what sort of measures did you have to sort of put in place for the yard?
Yeah, listen, we're only a little organisation, so obviously you sort of ratchet up your health and safety expectations and just develop. Working with competitive animals, you're always sort of very aware of viral transmission amongst the horses, and I think it was a bit of an unusual consideration to fast forward your epidemiological skills and knowledge for your human staff. So I think we've all learned a lot, and it was a very challenging time. It still is ongoingly a very challenging time, and I think we've got this unique position, sort of where the stables is nestled in the shadow of the grandstand and looking out over South London, and it's not difficult to see into the sort of urbanisations just 5 or 8 miles north of where we sit, and imagine how when we're taking these horses out onto the downs every morning and permitted to do so, and in the sort of fresh air, and people who are cooped up during lockdown in high rise, we have no comprehension of how lucky we are, relatively speaking, to have these incredible animals to look after, which gives us the opportunity to have some sort of normality in our day-to-day life.
And you were saying that, you know, a lot of your owners have become really good friends. And I guess the problem for them is not being able to go racing. I mean, we had a brief spell when they were able to come back racing, although in very sort of a limited and a controlled environment.
Yeah, I mean, for who's going to be brave enough to write the book, The Psychology of the Racehorse Owner? I mean, people do it, thank goodness, for a wide variety of different reasons, and some people love to come and see the horses in the stables, and of course they haven't been able to do that, or hardly at all. Some people like to watch the horses train on the downs. Obviously, you can do that. You can keep a bit of that going by videoing it, etc. But it's not the same. And some people, as you say, they want to go to the track, and it's just, most racehorse owners are fairly gregarious, sociable people, and united by a common love for and the most amazing sport, and you want to talk to each other about it and have a good time and sit down with your mates, and it's one of life's pleasures is sitting down and being able to tell everybody about how brilliant you are, and or not, and enjoy the successes and the failures, and do it with like-minded people, and to not be able to do that, I think we've all found going to the races, aren't we lucky to be able to keep going? But it's a very cold experience, very unusual, and people like us have, I've been doing it for 40 years. It feels very, very strange to be at the track these days.
And Michael, how are your owners coping with it all?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very difficult. We've been fortunate that financially everyone seems to have got through the worst of it until now. We've not lost any owners. We've not lost horses. It is difficult. I mean, we find ourselves having a lot of sort of WhatsApp groups and things like that, so that I can put gallops and sort of yard visits and things like that onto individual messages for people, just to try and keep them updated. Obviously, plenty of communication through the phone, and for a couple of the syndicates, we've done some quite long Zoom calls as well, just to try and keep everyone involved and keep everyone interested. So it's been very, very difficult, and I think every trainer appreciates the loyalty that their owners have showed by staying put when things have been very tough.
And Simon, one of the most surreal things I think about last year, and let's face it, there were many surreal things last year, was first of all, no Derby on the first Saturday in June. And then secondly, having the Derby at the beginning of July with the Oaks on the same day and the whole of Epsom Racecourse being fenced off. And I have spoken to you many, many times, and we pleaded with people to come racing. And the big message to everyone was, don't come to the Derby.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you couldn't write it, could you? You couldn't imagine it. But I mean, I think, the most important thing was, it was terribly important that the Derby was run. It was also, and the Oaks were run. It was terribly important also that they were run at Epsom, and the logistical problems that presented to the racecourse, and to the conservators wearing multiple hats as to what's the right thing for the local community, etc. It was extremely well managed, and it was extremely professionally negotiated, discussed, and achieved. And thank goodness we got through it. And I think much credit must go to the racecourse for Simon Durrant and the team for the way that they negotiated with everybody involved. But let's just hope that was a one-off, and that we never ever have to go through anything like that ever again, and that next year, at the very least, we'll be able to welcome back some of the key components. And then in years to come, we can go back, because, for people like us, Michael and myself, Derby week, it's an institution in our lives. It's like looking forward to Christmas every year. And, so you meet the same people that you don't, from all over the world, that you don't see from one year to the next. And then it's almost like playing the Derby week all over on repeat. It's just that some of the protagonists are different. And of course, you've got a new set of horses. But much of the rest of it is just the same old thing. And I just feel sorry for the Rubbing House takings, which obviously suffered a bit.
Yeah, it certainly did. And Michael, I mean, the racecourse is just such a unique place. I mean, if anyone ever thought of building a racecourse, you wouldn't build it at Epsom, would you? But it is the most unique racecourse, and it is the ultimate test of a racehorse.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the great things about racing in the UK is the variations of tracks. If you compare us to a lot of the other big racing countries, a lot of tracks are just the same way around, the same surface, the same distance. Everything looks the same. Whereas when you come to the UK, it's such a different thing, and there's some fantastic tests for horses all over the country. But Epsom is certainly a very, very unique test. I mean, I suppose we forget ourselves sometimes. We're out there walking across the track and round the track, and when we bring new owners to Epsom and you walk across the track with them to the gallops, they suddenly realise they're standing on the most famous race course in the world. I think we take it for granted a little bit, but
and Simon, I have to say that Andrew Cooper, I'm never quite sure whether Andrew Cooper's being truthful or not with me, but he tells me he does have a book by an Irishman who said that it is flat in the home straight at Epsom.
Really? Well, it must have been an Irishman after he'd been in the rubbing house, I reckon, because I don't know how you could argue that one. But yeah, I mean, listen, I've not heard, Andrew hasn't mentioned that. He hasn't shared that intimacy with me, I must say. But
have a word with him. I'd like to know whether he was just telling me maybe a little fib there. But Simon, looking at last year, what was your highlight last year with your horses?
We didn't have a brilliant year. I mean, we might have done okay numerically, but we didn't really have a standout. I mean, Corazon Espinado won a Class 3 in February, I think, and Beat the Breeze 1-3 on the all-weather towards the end. But the rest of them were just the same normal old team, just kept like typical of what was going on in the world. It was a true reflection. They just went out to bat and they did what they do, or have done for the last couple of seasons, which is they just stood on the crease and kept hitting, and eventually one or two got through the net. We had a pretty rocky 3 months when things started again for lots of different reasons. Couldn't get them right, and then they sort of started okay and finished okay. We just sort of limped through, but I think the highlight was surviving it and getting through it, and being lucky enough to be where we are. And as I say, I think I don't think any of us really appreciated ending 2020 because we weren't able to do it in any sort of style. But at the same time, I certainly know that we raised a glass to 2021, and I'm just hoping that I think like everybody that we get back on, and people get healthy, people get well, people get vaccinated, and we can all go back to enjoying the sport for the sort of many reasons that we all do as individuals.
And Michael, for you, what was your highlight?
I mean, as far as the horses goes, I suppose there was several. I mean, we took Lawn Ranger's probably our best horse last year, and he went up to Chester and put up a real good performance to win up there. It was a long old journey, and it was great of the owner to send the horse all that way. And like I say, he won back up there for a near miss in a pretty competitive Class 2. And we bought a couple of horses. I mean, amazingly, throughout this, we actually bought a couple of new horses. Particularly, we bought Minaj out of Haggerty's Yard and Concierge. Both came. One went out and won first time for us, and the other went out and won second time, which is fantastic when you've got a syndicate of people that are putting their trust in you to go and buy the horses, and they're spending good money. It was fantastic to get good results for both horses straight away.
And looking ahead to 2021, Simon, you've got off to a great start. 4 winners already. You had a treble at Lingfield.
Absolutely. I have no idea how that happened. Just so the train must have had time off over Christmas. I think that's what it was. But no, we landed running and come back to reality a bit in the last couple of weeks. But they're still going okay, and it's a good time of year for us. Usually January. So hopeful of a big year, as I say, 2021, we'll only have a little team, 25, 30 horses, and just hope that some of them are, that we can get racing at Epsom, and some of them will be running at the tracks where we enjoy so much, and we've got a couple of nice young horses to look forward to.
One of the horses I'm keen on is Wake Up Harry, who's owned by Harry Redknapp. But he only just got beaten at Kempton on his debut, and then dotted up at Lingfield recently.
Yeah, he's a nice horse, and say he's always going to need a bit of time. He's always going to be autumn, winter as a 2-year-old that he was going to make his presence felt, and he was a little backward during the summer and lost a bit of time, and then one thing and another, and he got a bit colty as well. But he's changed a lot. He's emotionally grown up, and it was very impressive when he won his novice on the 2nd of January. He's gone to swimming pool for a little freshen up, a little break, but he'll be back next week. And yeah, he'll be an exciting prospect for this year, especially if he adapts to turf racing, which he should do, but by his sire Le Havre emerging sire, and you know, he's a big strong horse, so he should be equally as effective on grass. So be interesting to see.
Could you see him being a bit better than Handicap Company?
But you dream, don't you? You know, so that's what it's all about, you know, on course. But I mean, I've been doing it so long, and you know, the dreams normally finish. Well, normally the trainer makes a Horlicks of it. So, so you know, you've got to just. But of course, yeah, of course you must dream. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, he cost a fortune of money, and he's owned by an extremely professional sportsman, and who'd give the horse as much time as he needs, or you know, would understand the unusualities and the challenges out there. So you know, so we've got every chance for him to develop into a nice horse, and you know, say his future is in his hooves, kind of thing. So you know, watch this space. Well, by the spring we'll know what we're talking about.
And how did Harry Redknapp get involved with the stable?
Harry is a friend of my main client, Robert Moss, and they had a horse called Sparklot between them in partnership for a while, and then Harry said to me, "Oh, I'll have one with you on my own at some stage," and the rest is history. Yeah.
And Michael, 2021, what are you looking forward to this year?
Well, getting off the mark would be good to start with. We've had a pretty slow start, giving everyone else
I have to say, you were very unlucky the other day with Capinanti Con. He got Chin right on the line.
Yeah, he's been a great little servant for us. When he bought him last year, and he won a couple of times and was placed several times. Very consistent horse. He actually runs again this Saturday. He's in really good form, and he comes up against the same horse that beat him last time. It's beaten him twice now, so hopefully it's his turn to get his revenge. But we got some nice horses. We've got 10 2-year-olds for this year. It's early days as to you know, how good any of them might be. But I've got quite a nice horse running this weekend called Montekem. He's had 2 runs. He was bought out of Hugo Palmer's yard. He's only run once for me, but he's having his 3rd run on Saturday at Kempton. And I think he's potentially a very nice improving type to go forward with. And the horse I mentioned earlier, Concierge, he's 90 rated. He's very, very capable. And I'd like to think we could go to some of the big sprint handicaps with him this year. He's only got to improve sort of a few pounds.
Michael, Simon, many thanks for joining us. Many congratulations on the award for 2020, and hopefully you're going to have plenty more winners in the weeks and months to come. But thank you for joining us, and all the very best.